It's a good win for us. I thought we were particularly good in the second half defensively. For the first 12 or 14 minutes, I guess about the first 12 or 13 minutes is about a point a minute defensively. And I just thought we were a little bit more aggressive and tuned in on that end of the floor. We also did a nice job of taking care of the ball. We had a few more than what I would like with 12 turnovers, but there weren't a ton versus careless turnovers versus their zone. They played quite a bit of it tonight. And I thought JP particularly did a great job of taking care of the ball, played 17, 18 minutes, having the ball in your hands a lot, not turning it over, getting in the paint. You know, anytime you got a guard that can put pressure on the rim and not turning over, that's a big weapon. You know, some guys can get in the paint, but they turn it over too much. And there are other guys that can never turn it over, but they just 25 feet away from the basket rotate the ball from one side to the other. You've got to have some guys that can put pressure on the rim, and when that person is a guy that's not turning it over, it's great for your offense. I just thought we were, again, locked in a lot of areas in the second half, and anytime you can play all your guys, it's a good night. Questions?
Early on, it looked like UTSA was able to get some rebounds in that zone and shut down some possessions early, but after that under 12, under 8 timeout in the first half, y'all really hit the offensive boards hard. Was that an adjustment to get more people crashing, or was it just a matter of finally that effort getting paid off?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. The effort level went up a little bit, and then just the execution level went up a little bit. We were getting some there for a while, but not put it in the basket. You know, at halftime we had I think 10 boards, maybe 12. You know what I said?
Around there, it was around 12, 10.
And we just weren't putting it in the bucket very much. I think we had 12 boards.
15 at the half.
And we had 20 for the game and ended up with 16 second chance points. You want that number to be a little higher. Typically, that offensive rebound isn't that far away from the bucket. Mm-hmm. And you've got your dribble. And so a really good player that's 5, 6, 7 feet away from the basket with your live dribble, you hope can stick it back in or get fouled. And I just didn't think there in the first half we were making them pay for some of our own boards. And we did okay in the second half, but I think the biggest thing was just we guarded, particularly for that first 12, 14 minutes, and that's where the separation happened.
Coach, you guys forced 20 turnovers, and UTSA took almost 20 less shots than you guys did. How much easier does it make it to control the game when you're winning the possession battle?
Big time. It's a game of math. It's not art class. It's math, and that's what I tell these guys all the time. It is math. There's a lot of numbers on here, and when you win the battle on the offensive glass and the turnover battle, it's huge. You can out-rebound an opponent 4 or 5 on the offensive glass and have 4 or 5 fewer turnovers. You're going to have about 8 to 10 more possessions. When you spot any good team 8 to 10 more possessions than yourself, you're going to have a hard time beating them, and vice versa. You get 8 to 10 more than your opponent. Most nights, even shot percentages, shooting percentages, you're going to win. And so that kind of stuff it's huge. Don't turn it over and go get on that glass.
Coach, another math question for you. Of your 84 points, 47 were off the bench. What does that say about your team and just how deep you guys are? Yeah,
great point. You know, I think we're some guys are playing more and better. You know, so we're the development of some of our players. You know, even JP. You know, it's just different than what he's been accustomed to. You know, and that's not to say that where he played junior college basketball isn't good basketball, but it's just different. And now all of a sudden, he's got to find ways to use his speed different than he did last year. And now all of a sudden, he's starting to figure that out, when to use his speed, how to use it to get others involved. And now it means more minutes for him. Jared Coleman-Jones doing the same thing. You know, people can forget a little bit. He didn't play last year because of a knee injury. And then the year before, he had a very disruptive season during the COVID year. You know, he missed some games because he had COVID. We missed games because we had COVID. He had a concussion at one point and missed several games. So he had a very choppy year 2 years ago. And so now it's a pretty normal season for him. And about 3/4 of the way through the season, you see him start to take off a little bit, a little like DeAndre Dishman did last year. He had missed 2 full seasons due to injury, and now all of a sudden, about 3/4 of the way through that first year he come back, he starts taking off a little bit. Now we've just some guys, off our bench are starting to play better and now able to play 9 or 10 deep pretty regularly.
Justin, I'm always fascinated by college teams going against 2-3 zones because that's the first defense you're taught when you're growing up playing basketball. But obviously, it's a little different at the Division I level than it is at your YMCA when you're 5 or 6. How do you have to go about attacking a team like UTSA when they've got some length and sort of take away the more traditional ways where you might try to attack a 2-3?
They know we're a transition team, so they just want to slow us down a little more. So we couldn't play their game, so we got to keep playing our game. So move the ball, attack the gaps, get in the paint. That's basically what we're trying to do.
What sort of clicked for the team offensively, when y'all started to get some better looks against that zone?
We started playing like us. We was pushing the ball more, sharing the ball more. Everybody got looks, and everything's falling in place.
Coach, you guys have a bunch of guys that, in my opinion, you can't measure by the box score. Guys like Tyler Millen and Justin Buford. How do they complement, guys like Eli and Dish?
I think you're harder to prepare for and harder to defend in games when you've got so many different players on any given night that are capable of hurting you. The other night Tyler goes 7 for 10 and has 15 points. Tonight he goes 1 for 5 and has 3. But somebody else steps up. T, I don't think scored the other night. Tonight we had 3 guys that led us in scoring at 13 each, and he was one of them. And so, if all of a sudden you see that big number yesterday from Tyler Millen, you're saying this guy can play. You got to keep him off the glass. And now all of a sudden all your attention goes to Tyler, and now this guy hurts you. And then the next night he has a night. Some of your attention goes to him, and this guy hurts you. I just think you're a better team when there's so many different guys that are capable, and you, to your point, I think, have so many different players that are willing to, when it's not your night, to not try to force it to be your night. And there are enough games in the season that if you're capable, your turn will come. And to be able to play with good teammates that are okay with that is really important, particularly when you play 9 or 10 deep like us.
Dish, we talked to Nick and Justin a little bit about this earlier, but they had the advantage on the boards early, but y'all were really able to dominate the glass late. What sort of switched for you guys, or what did you see switch in the paint that led y'all to get more opportunities and in some possessions quicker?
Just being short of boxed out. We knew that we had to win the rebounding war. It was one of our keys early in the game. So we knew we had to win the rebounding war, and we seen it was down. So I think just a lot of guys crashing down. So even if I'm not grabbing the board, allowing the wings to come crash down and being able to push the ball in transition was a key. So we wanted to be able to get the ball out and get out quick, and they was able to come down and crash.
I was talking with Justin a little bit about attacking a 2-3 zone offensively. That's the first zone we're all taught growing up playing basketball, so everyone knows the idea. Get in the middle, attack the gaps. Is that still sort of the core of what you have to do against a zone like that, even when guys are bigger and longer and lengthier?
It is, and they seem to play high, and they had a lot of guys that play really flat. So getting the ball in the middle was one of the big things for us, and we were able to get in there, have some good shots, kick it out for some good threes, and get some fouls and buckets.
Obviously there was a bit of excitement at the end of the game when some players got to go in. Dish, I saw you on the bench enjoying the fans' desire for some folks to get in. What was that like to be able to see him check in, to see him be able to do some things on the court for Jack and Isaiah?
Oh, it's great to see. The team loves it. They support us. We go against them in practice every day. So seeing these guys work and being able to get that chance to go out there and do something is really great to see. It's fun. I don't know how you couldn't enjoy it.
Justin, you got to greet them, coming on the court. I think Jack checked in for you technically. What was that like for you to see the reception that they get for the work that they put in?
I was so happy because they go hard in practice every day. They playing against us every single day, so I'm knowing they're ready for it. So this is a great moment for them.
And Nick, how important is that to get a moment like that in conference play where you can get some of those guys in? That maybe
it's huge. It's a testament to how hard you've worked. To have a night like that, but. To go off of what both Dish and JP are saying is those guys, they lift the same, they work out the same, they go to class the same, they're in practice every day, and to have a chance to get out there and play in a conference game is important. And you know, I was happy for Isaiah to knock another one down. I don't know if
100%.
he's missed a 3 on the season. But yeah, he's doing well, and same with Jack. Those two guys, you know, there are some days, particularly when it's the day before a game, we're putting in a scout. They're getting all the reps, and you know, those can be hard, taxing days for them physically. So the next day to be able to get out there and play is important.
How hard is that job, particularly on those one-day turnarounds where they're having to put in a scout where, you know, people are just starting to see the film?
Yeah, you know, you look at like tonight's stat sheet is a little similar to the other night, where you've got a guy with 25 minutes, 26 minutes, 21 minutes. It's hard then the next day to ask those guys to get after each other, get up and down. And so typically we've got, you know, 15 guys on our roster, Jalen Jordan out with 14 able bodies right now. A lot of times we'll stack one of the teams and put 8 or 9 on one team. They kind of sub for each other. And the other 5 guys are one team with no subs. You know, they're usually the guys that didn't play a lot the night before. Well, today is your game day. You know, that practice is your game day. And so it's kind of those 5 versus the other 9. And, you know, it's nice for them to be able to get out there on game day too.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate it.